Welcome to the latest all-COVID episode of La Ventanita. I am your recently infected host, Carlos Frias, the food editor of the Miami Herald, joined every week, which apparently every week my co-host, Amy Reyes, is still testing positive.
I think we need to alert the CDC that the Kendall variant of the COVID is, you can transmit it via
Zoom.
internet, via Zoom.
Internet.
Because since last week, you have been testing for COVID just because you were going to go on a trip, a nice little vacation, and now you are positivo.
Yay, instead I get to work for the next 2 weeks. Woo!
Well, unfortunately for you don't have the benefit of being really sick and being able to take some sick days.
No, I got to still work through it.
You still got to work through it. At least I was like sick.
I know.
You got the light. You got the Kendall variant light.
I did. I got the Rona
not
light.
The full blown. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the low-cal one.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're not like, in a bad way. But I'm sad to hear that you can't go to your fancy vacation.
I know. My fancy vacation is on hold, but it will happen eventually. But instead, we get to hang out a little bit via Zoom, which is great. And I'm still excited because we have a really great host who I've been wanting to talk to again for a long time. But let's get to some other stuff first, because I know that we've been talking about this for a while now. It's the cafecito index.
Yes, you informed Miami. You informed Miami that the thing that they love is actually over $1 now. Like, nobody was paying attention, but it happened. Like,
yeah,
your
like
cafecito.
Your price went up on the cafecito.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that whole thing we looked at is I called 20 of the popular Ventanitas in Miami, 20 of like the most popular ones: Miami, Hialeah, North Miami, Miami Gardens, Miami Lakes. Homestead. I tried to really call around to go to some of the most visited ones and asking like, hey, what is the price of your colada? And they thought it was
what was the
weird.
range, Carlos? What was the high to low? What was the range?
There was like the low range was like a buck 25 was the lowest one that I saw. Maybe $1.50 actually was the lowest one. The highest one was an outlier. It was $4.05.
What is happening? Where was
I know.
that?
It was Molina's Ranch in Hialeah.
They are tripping.
I called back on a separate day because I was like, maybe this person doesn't know what they're talking about. And they're like, yo, it's 405. It's not 305. It's 405.
They are monsters. What is wrong with that?
I don't know, man. If I got charged $4.05 for a colada, I might have to bring the pitchforks.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, we've gotten away a long time with $1 colada.
Yeah, it was too cheap. It was time.
Yeah.
It was time.
Yeah.
Like, everything's more expensive, so your coffee's gonna have to be more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, there's no like bang for the buck that you can get in food like the $1 colada, and now even a $2 colada. So that's what it is. Like, the average price now at 20 Ventanitas that I called is $2. It's just over $2. And you know what? It's still a bargain.
Deal with it.
You know what? And we're gonna pay it. You know why? Because that's our crack. That's our sweet nectar of the Cuban gods. And we will drink it, and we will go back, and they will give them a 5, and they will keep the whole thing, and we will keep coming back because we need our coladas in Miami.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you want to hear about the new restaurant poll?
I don't.
Still going on. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
All right.
All right, so
tell us about
as
the
you all
totally
know,
fake restaurant poll.
This is our poll, our internet poll to see what Miami's favorite new restaurant is. We are on our final 4, and in the final 4 are, oh my God, 4 restaurants that I'm a fan of at least 2 of them.
Okay.
All right, so one of them I haven't heard of, which is the Certo Aristo and Pizza, which just because I haven't heard of it obviously doesn't mean it's a bad restaurant. It's actually near your house, Carlos, so we should go there very soon.
I've driven by it. We should.
The next one is Chef Adrian's Forte,
okay.
Which I haven't been to either, but I'm sure
people love Chef Adrian.
People love Chef Adrian.
Yep.
You know why? Because all of her creative energy comes from Kendall, which is the heart of Miami's creative energy.
Also from her red hair. From her bright red hair.
And then there's Luca Osteria and the Key Club. So those are our final 4. If you want your favorite place to win, you better get to voting and then get to refreshing and then vote again, because you can do that, because that's how this poll is done.
In our totally legitimate, scientific,
totally non-scientific, low stakes. Don't come at me for a prize, because this is just for funsies, okay?
What do you win, Amy? What do you win if you're voted favorite?
Nah.
Patting myself on the back.
To
right
quote
now.
Dominicans, un embeleco.
I don't know what that is, but that sounds
I won't say
like
the rest of it.
that sounds like zero. That
get
sounds
nah.
like no soup for you.
Right.
All right. Well, you know what? Enough of this foolishness because we have somebody who is much better at being foolish than we are. Today's guest is Jenny Lorenzo, Jenny Lo. So Jenny Lo became Miami famous when she put on a gray wig, she turned on her grandmother's Cuban accent, and became everyone's abuela in YouTube videos. Well, as you can imagine, viral fame ensued. And Jenny, who's a graduate of the University of Miami's Theater and Arts program, became a video star. You've seen her hilarious skits, starring the opinionated gray-haired abuela and a host of other characters, including your judgmental tia. Jenny, some of those biggest hits that you've seen are like, who needs Amazon Alexa when you have abuela? You ask, abuela, what's the weather out like? And, abuela's all like, ponte un suéter. And she's done a bunch of them. One of my favorite ones was she did like What If Beauty and the Beast was in Miami? And it's Belle walking through, it's her dubbing over Belle, and it's hilarious. It is fantastic. You should find it on YouTube. But Jenny's also a Hollywood voice actor for cartoons. She's an actor herself, beyond cartoons, obviously. She hosts her own podcast called Hyphenated, and it's about being in that middle section of the Latin American. She also co-hosts a show on the Disney Plus official YouTube channel. Official,
Hi.
because she's a Disney nut. She and I met when we were making an award-winning short film in 24 hours, and she was wearing a blue wig and creating the first of many wigged characters that we'll know. And a lot of these characters come from her Miami experience. She lovingly pokes fun at intergenerational conflicts, the disagreements between Cuban immigrants and their Cuban-American progeny. So let's talk to her about that and everything else, plus about being a vegan Cuban recently. So we'll get to all that. Jenny Lo, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me, guys.
You're so good for being on our dumb show.
Oh, please.
No, we're so excited. Like you were the first person that Carlos wanted to have on the show. He was like, we
Oh
need to
my
have
gosh.
Jenny.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
know
not
her
lying
for-
because if you check my Facebook messages, like I sent you a message like months ago, like, come on our show. We'd love to have you.
And of
He
course,
was like, I know
missed it.
her. I know her.
I know her.
The first time I ever saw you, Jenny, was in like I don't know how long ago it was, but you must have been like a kid. It was you did like a Gangnam Style Miami video.
Oh,
Wasn't that-
yeah.
Yeah, like I
Fake
live
comics.
Miami's. Yeah, it was great. That was super
Oh, no,
fun.
oh, no. That was the other. I did 2 music video parodies to Psy songs. The first one was Gangnam Style, and that was like in Tropical Park. We filmed
Yep.
it basically in Westchester.
Yeah. No. And that's, I think, why people relate to you so much is because I think you more than anybody else is you grab this thing that we all talked about, the ethereal that's in the air, that's like our culture in the air, and you physically manifested it. And I think that's why it hit. And like, obviously the Abuela character is freaking iconic at this point,
It's wild to me. I'm like, what? How did this happen? I don't know.
Tell me about that, because I will, like, I'm sure you didn't do that skit like, let me nail this character because everybody's gonna know me in this gray wig, and it seems like that's how people identify with you now is the Abuela in the gray wig.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are honestly, not to be self-deprecating, but people are honestly not as excited to meet me as me. Like if I ever do an event or a meet and greet, a lot of the time it's like, is Abuela gonna be, as if she's like a separate part of me. I'm like, no, just me.
Do people come up to you on the street and say, will you tell me to put me un sweater?
They have, yeah. Like people have told me that, or like to FaceTime a family member or record a video. It always feels weird doing the voice when I look like myself, because it just doesn't feel the same. But yeah, it's been like this really interesting journey, and I recently got back on Cameo, which is an app/website where you can book people for birthday messages and anything you want.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, this is really
And-
cool.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
really-
Pay me for that. Exactly.
Oh my
Don't-
God, yes, Jenny.
Like I
That
would
is
pay,
so smart.
Like,
I would pay for that.
I would pay for that. Like I would pay to have Abuela record my outgoing message on my voicemail. 100%.
I would
Yeah,
pay.
it's-
I would pay Abuela to tell my daughter like "Happy birthday, y ponte un sweater," like, for sure.
Yes.
Totally.
And those have been like super popular, and not just with Abuela, but with some of my other characters. But what's fascinating is that I've gotten a good number of requests from people that aren't looking for like a birthday message or anything typical like that. They're asking for me to almost be their abuela, and to congratulate them on life milestones because their abuelita died.
Oh my God.
Oh my
You're breaking my
God.
heart. That is.
Aw.
That
I
sounds
know.
so
I don't
sad.
mean to. Yeah.
But
and
that's amazing.
it's-
But that's beautiful too.
That is super sweet. That is very sweet.
It is, and I'm just like, what has this character become? It's really wild to me because people know that it's a 35-year-old woman who
You know what it
has no
strikes me as?
kids.
You have a lot of institutional memory, and you're an actor with real chops. Who was Amy? Do you remember the character? Was it Mama's Family? Where
Yeah,
it was
Vicki
Oh
Lawrence.
yeah.
Vicki Lawrence. Like that character was a great like.
She was
I
in her
was a
30s.
kid.
She was my age when she
I
did
know.
it.
I was a kid when I saw that show, and I was floored later to learn that was a young woman inside that outfit.
Same.
Yeah, yeah,
Same.
kind of.
I-
Yeah,
mind
that's
blowing.
kind of the southern, like that's kind of like the southern white version of a Cuban
Yes.
abuela.
Yeah.
Right now, there are kids that are watching you talking about you being Abuela right now, and their heads are exploding right now.
Probably. I mean, there's even grown adults who are like, wait, I thought you were in your 60s or 70s.
Oh yeah, tell me a little bit about you. You've been the first time we met. You were wearing this blue wig. You put on this blue wig, and you became this comic book nerd character. And I've heard you say that you got a lot of mileage out of that blue wig. Like you did a lot of funny, cool characters. I'm curious about how you mentioned, that people will ask you to do the voice when you're not in the character. How much of becoming that character is literally wrapping yourself in that persona so that you can be Abuela or whoever?
Yeah, there's something I get awkward, I guess, when I'm not in character, like in complete costume. Everyone's different. Everyone has their methods. For me, it's like I don't fully become the character until I'm wearing the wig and the outfit and the whole nine. That is when I really, I don't know, it's a weird transformation process. But yeah, it's weird. When I'm myself, I'm like, it's awkward, and like I kind of half-ass it a little bit, and I don't really go all out. I've been that way my whole life, though, with anything relating to theater and character work. Not hate, but like I always feel awkward when people ask me, "Oh, do the thing,"
Yeah.
and it's only because I feel like I'm not gonna do a good job.
Right, like I don't want to let
You're gonna let them down.
I'm gonna let them down because I'm like, oh, I'm this like weird, and people also don't expect me. I don't know. When I lived in Miami, I felt like I never truly fit in. Just like how you met me. Obviously, I didn't have blue hair in real life, but that's a lot of who I am. I'm very, I guess, like artsy, geeky, eccentric. I didn't dress like most girls in Miami. I didn't. Again, just being a geek in general, being into superhero films and sci-fi and comics and video games, you were already kind of an outcast for that. At
What
least
part
in
of
my
Miami
time
did you
growing
grow
up
up
in
in?
Miami?
What part
I'm
of
sorry?
Miami are you from?
Westchester. Westchester.
Okay. Wait, Chetty.
So I went
That's
to St.
very
Brendan
close to
High.
Kendall, Carlos. Very close.
Would you stop hijacking conversations to talk about Kendall?
No.
Stop talking about Kendall. I
My
mean,
husband's
everything.
from Kendall.
Everything
I've
with
been paid.
Amy. Yeah, because she lives in a Kendall manse, so she's
live-
very.
I live in Kendall, and it is like I've been paid by the Kendall Board of Tourism to somehow integrate the topic of Kendall into every single one of our
You
of
have
our
to hire
interviews.
Abuela to be like, come to Kendall.
Welcome
You
to
know.
Kendall.
She's very
God,
haughty.
yes.
She's very haughty about the fact that she lives in Kendall. she's like, we have like the best Chick-fil-A's.
Oh my
I
God.
No, but it's funny to hear you say that because Miami doesn't have. I mean, I'm not saying that you're goth necessarily, but like things like that, like goth cultures and like music that isn't like happy booty music. Like if you're not in that, if those things, if you know, like there was no alternate radio station when I was growing up. Like you barely maybe got Zeta, but you
There
didn't
was
get
Zeta,
any. Alt,
yeah.
yeah, you
That
didn't
was
get.
it.
You didn't get really any alt music, and it wasn't until I left for college that I realized, oh, everything is not sunshine and booty music, you know?
Yes, and like that same tiki like house music that you're just like, how the hell do I dance to this?
What's a tiki tiki beat? Give me the tiki tiki beat. What's the one in your head?
Well, it's more like on the house music side, like, ding, 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 ding. But that sounds like reggaeton. But it's like
Yeah.
that same little
Well,
beat.
it's become that.
And it's almost too. They all sound the same.
Yep.
The beat.
Yep.
And I would go to a lot of clubs in Miami and hear the same crap. I ended up, I mean, I guess by label I would have been considered like a hipster in Miami because I was always in Wynwood and in Vagabond and places like that where you didn't have to dress a certain way. You can go in jeans and a band tee to this club and listen to like Metric and, you know, all these like alternative indie folk bands.
Right.
And it's like that's not the only music I like. Obviously, I love salsa and merengue and all that stuff. But in terms of, again, that's why I have that podcast called Hyphenated, because it's like, yeah, I have all this like I'm super guanasa, but then I'm like,
You like other stuff.
I like other stuff. Like I like
Yeah.
banjos. I don't know. Damn
Well,
it, I can, you know, like all the things.
That's such a part, I think, of like you. I think that you hit on a particular generation of us because I'm like that straddle between Gen X and millennial, like since 1975. So, and I feel like you really got your finger on this generation that grew up with Cuban food, but also was like introduced to the word foodie, you know, which now is like a dirty word, but you know, there was like that translation of not just being very culturally Cuban, but being culturally Miami, right? Like
Culturally Miami, American, the whole thing, just like, and I mean, again, I think it's starting to become even more of that because when I was in school, maybe it's because I went to private school. I don't know.
where did you go so I can judge you? San Brendan.
I did, yeah, same.
I nailed it at first guess.
And I
First
always
guess.
talk about this, and I know it might not make any sense, and it sounds like an oxymoron, but I was the poor kid in private school. Because every time I say I went to private school, people are like, "Oh, you must have rich Coral Gables parents." I'm like, no.
You're like, no, I went to Catholic school. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But it depends, though, because some Catholic
Yeah.
schools were very expensive. St.
Yes.
Brendan was still one of the more affordable private schools, which also was... Tia Gloria was created for a reason, and I'm not going to mention
Yeah.
who she's based on, but someone in my family
Nice.
used to always judge me for going to St. Brendan because they're like, oh, well, my daughter or my whatever went to Lourdes Academy and Epiphany and Beleng and blah, blah, blah.
Name
That
check,
is
name
one of
check,
my-
name check.
That's one of my favorite things about the ones that you do of the extended Cuban family is how specific it is.
Yes.
Because like I didn't expect you to be like, oh, and then here's the snobby Coral Gables
Oh, you gotta show the
auntie,
flawed
and then
characters. You have
yeah,
to
and then
show.
here's the hairdresser who's real, like, you know, pragmatic and down to earth, and then here's the like the mousy little niece who's super shy and like doesn't want to speak Spanish, and then you even threw a goth in there, and I was like, wow, she's hitting all of the notes here.
Yes, I did. I was so scared to bring the goth out because I was like, I
No,
remember
but that's
when-
one of my favorite things is to see the reactions of the different generations and the different family members to the
Totally.
goth. That's super fun.
Yeah, because claro, like, you know, we're not all the same, and that's honestly been my biggest mission out here in LA and in the Hollywood scene is like, guys, we're all very different. Like, just because you're Latino, Hispanic, however you identify, does not mean you dress the same way and listen to the same music and eat the same food. That's ridiculous. There's like how many, like 32 plus countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, and but they try to box us all into the same category. So that's why I've been having a great time with all these characters because, for instance, the hairdresser Marucci, she's more of this, like you're saying, she's like this laid back mom. She doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't care about cleaning. I already got that mom character. And they exist. Because I knew
Right.
plenty of anal retentive, clean freak Latina moms in Miami. But then Marucci's based on a lot of hairdressers that I had growing up where I would go to their houses and get my hair done and stuff. And that exists. Just because you're a Latina mom doesn't mean you like cooking. I do not like cooking at all. My husband's the one who cooks. And, you know, so breaking all those, like, not stereotypes, but tú sabes, just like breaking the box
Archetypes,
apart.
yeah.
Archetypes
spreading-
and
spreading
showing
the
like look how
spectrum a
different
little
we
bit.
are.
Kind of
The what?
widening the spectrum a little bit of the moms and the people and the characters, rather than
Yeah.
just like you're this one thing, you know.
Can I
Yeah, and
ask you
even-
a behind the scenes question about the production of those videos though?
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's you and like another guy, and you're like, go stand over there, and I want this shot. Is it a production, or is it really like, is it super low key and because it's all you in like 50,000 different angles? Like, how much of a production is it to get you doing all these different characters? Because sometimes I'm like, okay, she just set up a camera and she was like, okay, this is the shot I want. You push play. Or is it like, is there a guy with a boom? Like, how is it?
It varies. For the average video you see, especially the simpler ones, where I'm maybe playing 1 to 3 characters. A lot of times my husband is playing a character. He plays...
Who is hilarious, by the way, man. Oh my
he
God,
plays
he's so
funny.
funny.
the Cuban dad. And
Yeah,
then
he has a
plays
really good
Ezekiel.
barriga.
Yes.
Really good
we're
barriga.
legit with that barriga. And so for those simple sketches, it's usually just me and my producing partner Kevin Bosch, who's Venezuelan Colombian from Miami también. He used to work at O Cinema. And he's been out here in LA now for about 5 years or 4 years. And he's been my producing partner now since 2018. So we write a lot of the sketches together. And so the way it looks behind the scenes, a good amount of times is just me and him. He does the lighting because we have all the equipment. Like it's taken years, but I've invested in that. So we have like all the lighting equipment. He sets up all the lighting, the camera, and he runs sound.
Oh, that's so crucial.
And
The most
he tells
crucial
me,
thing.
yeah, everything, you know. And then I have an attic space upstairs that is almost like a mini museum. It's all la bata de casas, all the costumes, all the wigs, all the props, from like cafecito cups to the Keebler green tin full of rice.
Oh,
I have
man.
like empty butter containers. I have Publix and Sedanos and Navarro bags. I have been it's like I have everything from like manteles to Marucci's fake nails to like Tia jewelry.
It's you're like
Miami Museum.
you're like wardrobe and prop master. Everything
Yes.
like awesome. That's amazing.
I do that, and then I edit the videos myself. So I'm the video editor.
That's awesome.
But for the bigger productions, right? So if you see like the really big ones, like, you know, like the recent one that we did, which is if the Golden Girls were Latina.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
amazing.
We've linked that in our story, like so
Oh,
because I thought it was
awesome.
so good. It was so good.
So good.
Yeah, that one was a bigger production. Like that one cost a lot of money. You know, I put a lot into some of these, especially every year we do a big Halloween parody. So like last year we did Addams Family, we've done Beetlejuice. Now this year I think we want to try for Scooby-Doo. So when it comes to the bigger sketches, we always work with like another DP. And what's great is that they're all from Miami. I still work,
awesome.
the other cinematographers that we work with on some sketches is my friend Christina Cropper, Miami native, and Ernie Prieto, Miami native. I've met him in film school at University of Miami. So it's pretty neat. It's like all these Miami people out here in LA working with each other, helping each other out. And yeah, like we'll get a PA, we had someone doing wardrobe and going out and shopping for all the Golden Girls outfits. Like, so we do go big sometimes.
How
So it
many?
varies.
I think about that, and like, how often did you grow up taking an English song and just singing it with Spanish lyrics, like on the fly? Like, tell me that was a part of your growing up, because it was for me. And my cousin Felipe and I would do that all the time.
Like parodying it? Like
oh
Weird
my
Al?
God, like you know, can't touch this. You know, like, tú no puedes tocar esto. Pantalones fresco y patadas.
That's a thing you would do, Carlos?
Oh my God, totally.
That is
like,
so funny. There's no videos of you doing this.
no,
I would
but
like to
there
see
is
that.
now because I'm doing it right now.
Now you're doing it.
But like
I know some
that
people do
intro,
that.
the intro to that Golden Girls, because it starts like, gracias por ser un amigo, una amiga, right? And it's, oh man, it just hit me right in the feels. I was like, oh, I was a teenager again.
Oh my God.
It was great. Oh yeah, speaking of growing up in Miami, like, you know, and obviously we're a food podcast, so we care about food. And, you know, toda esa comida, number one, I know that you can't get exactly the same versions in LA, but over the years you've tweaked it to become more and more plant-based. Like you recently just tweeted something at me like that you had a vegan picadillo, which
Yup.
like to a lot of people like it was a sound of
Monster.
there was sound of dishes crashing, you know, in the background.
1,000 abuelas sighing in the background.
My abuela, may she rest in peace, was not around when I became vegan, or that would have probably ended her life sooner. But tú sabes, here's the reality. So a lot of people don't know this. I went vegan or plant-based, however you want to say it, because I have Crohn's disease.
Oh yeah, a buddy of mine had that too. It's debilitating. It's
Oh yeah,
debilitating.
it can be debilitating.
It can be.
And I started symptoms the moment I moved to LA, literally the week of.
Oh, wow.
Moving to
I
LA
started
made you
symptoms.
vegan, is what you're saying.
Made you
It's-
sick. Made you sick.
It
Out
made
the
you-
gate.
it
LA
made you-
makes
you had a
people
Well, no,
sick.
physical
I'm gonna be
reaction to
real.
it.
It was like I just had caquita doctors in Miami who didn't notice the red flags because I've had stomach issues since I was 19.
Yeah.
I had IBS, and not a single doctor told me to change how I was eating.
Oh, girl, I have the
That's
same.
crazy.
I have the same story to report in Miami because I did go to a gastroenterologist and they were like, "Poop in a cup and come back. You don't have a
That's all they-
bacteria."
that's
They're like,
all-
"You don't have a bacteria. You're fine. Go home."
You're right.
Yeah,
but
they
I
only
feel
care
so
about
bad.
H. pylori, and that's it. If you don't have H. pylori, whatever, keep eating. And because I'm a tiny person, I have a very fast metabolism, and as most 90s kids ate like shit. We just
Yeah.
ate porqueria, chucheria.
Chucheria.
You were raised on
Really?
Twinkies. Yeah.
I would melt
Yes.
cheese on like bread and just eat that. Like
Oh, the
ver-
cheese in a
like,
can, and
it was
Triscuits.
cheese all the time.
Yeah, that
Like,
cheese will get
and
you.
I would dip Lay's potato chips in cream cheese. I would eat at all hours of the night, and because I didn't gain weight, keep eating
Eat
it,
what you
whatever.
got.
Right.
And I destroyed my gut for sure. So I always tell people, if you have IBS symptoms, please start changing the way you eat, because a lot of autoimmune diseases do start in the gut due to leaky gut syndrome. So if you keep, it's almost like I'm gonna be all scientific now, but
Wow.
I
Oh my
care about
Now I
people's
got something else to
feedback.
worry about, Carlos.
You got a leaky gut now, Amy.
No, I'm
But if
Googling that.
you keep eating bad things, it's like almost like you keep picking at a scab
Yeah.
in your gut.
Never
and
let it
then
heal.
Eventually, stuff's gonna leak through and go into your bloodstream, and your
I don't
body's
like
gonna
that.
learn how to attack the wrong things.
I don't like that. I don't
I don't
like
like
my
that.
gut leaking.
I don't want my gut to leak.
Is there food that you like? What is your go-to Cuban food? Like you're like, this is worth ruining my guts over. Is there something that's worth ruining your guts over? Vaca frita? Is there something that they're like, whatever, I just ruin my guts.
Well, you know what's weird is that my whole life I actually didn't like meat. I felt like I had to eat it because my abuela was like, la proteína. So but I was very picky eater as a kid. My grandma was always freaking out that I was too skinny, that I wasn't eating enough. Because I liked American food more. For me, I always love arroz con frijoles, tostones, like yuca, whether it's yuca frita or regular yuca hervida.
That's still fair game.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you
That's
go to
still free
Noche
game.
Buena, what's on your plate?
It sounds, you just heard it.
All
I
of
think.
this.
Yeah, that's it. Side
And
dishes.
also, but you can veganize almost anything these days. So, like I said, I just made vegan picadillo with the same exact sazones and spices and everything, except I used Beyond Meat.
Yeah. I was
And
gonna
my
ask you
mom,
about
it's
that.
funny because my mom's actually eating more vegan now. She's not gonna go become vegan, but she's drinking oat milk. She's not having cheese. She's like obsessed with plant-based meats.
That's amazing. No one's gonna.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we're gonna take away her Cuban card. I'm kidding.
I was about to say,
A
your
ver,
abuela
a ver,
was
mami,
coming
a ver,
back
la-
for you.
A ver la tarjetica, me
It
dijo
works
ese
for me.
DR,
I'm
que-
like, meat has always, I don't know, meat has always grossed me out. It was like pulling teeth for me to do it. I was always scared about, I mean, I have like all these phobias and stuff. So I would always be scared of how like restaurants would cook my meat. So a lot of times I was already eating pretty much vegetarian at restaurants. I would only trust when my abuela or my mom cooked meat. So I was
Yeah.
already a weirdo, and I love animals. Like I saved a black widow spider last year.
That's. I think.
But
I think
why?
it's okay to let that one go.
Yeah, I
No.
think that
And her
that one
sack of
deserves
eggs.
to die.
And her sack of eggs. No, yeah, I'm always like saving spiders and ants. I'll take an ant, and I like go out into the
Oh, that's so sweet.
I can't kill an animal. So it to
You'd be a
me
good
it all
Buddhist.
lines up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pero-
you'd be a good Buddhist.
Yep.
But I was but in terms of food though, like it was really depressing at first because I was
Sure.
trying to figure out what could I eat to help my Crohn's, right? So I went through this whole adventure. Finally I found that plant-based eating is what helped me stay in remission. But I've been very pleasantly surprised because I've been, I go to Miami at least once or twice a year. There's vegan Cuban cuisine. It's in Kendall. The most delicious vegan Cuban food I've ever had.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that place. It's right.
I had
it's right on
Nochebuena
Bird,
food
right?
from there. I
It's
ordered
right on
all my
Bird?
Nochebuena food from them because
wow.
we had Nochebuena in Miami last year.
Did you have a tofurkey pig like it's like
Eso no.
shaped into a pig?
Hell no. I
Yo,
don't
what
go
kid-
that far.
What kid
Ew.
doesn't have trauma from walking in and to seeing a lechon? Yes, bro. Even me.
That's my
even
first
me.
memory.
Yes, of a lechon splayed,
Like,
laid up with the
For
head.
me, it was the head. It was like the
Yeah.
head of a pig in a trash can.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
that is exactly right.
I was like,
That- Lord of the Flies, man.
but yeah, like I mean, if anyone's interested, tú sabes, it's actually really delicious. Like, what I was most depressed about was not being able to eat pastelitos again
Oh no.
because Cuban pastelitos were my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I'm a big like snacker. I love snacking.
Yeah.
So in Miami, I was always at Tammy's Bakery on Coral Way.
Shout out to Tammy's Bakery.
Shout out to Tammy's.
hey, Sammy.
Y también,
Some
claro,
pastelitos.
Vicky Bakery. Those
Vicky.
are like my two top favorite bakeries. And I was there almost every week getting tremendo, like, pastelito de carne, tequeños, de queso y guayaba, croquetas. And then it wasn't until last year. Like, I started, see, people had, in my area here too, had started to come up with formulas for vegan croquetas. They'll use like chickpea and I was like, freaking delicious. But then in terms of actual pastelitos, no, not even Porto's. Porto's, I don't know if you've heard of Porto's. It's one of the
Yeah,
most
sure.
popular Cuban bakery chains in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Martha Darby's always going on and on about
Martha
them.
Darby.
Who's my big fat Cuban blog, I think is the name of her
Yes.
thing.
And
Yeah,
I've worked
she's
with her a
great.
couple times. She's been in some of my videos. Yeah, and I met Betty Porto at a Cuban Dodgers day. There's a lot of Cubans out here.
Yeah, that's the Versailles of LA. Is the best way to say it for people who don't know. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the Versailles of LA.
It's still
Although,
like again not
I
to
take
throw
great
shade. It's
I
not the
take great
same.
offense. Yeah, I was gonna say I take great offense that they call a pastelito a guava turnover. It makes me want to like
What?
turn a table over. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
papa
Oh,
rellenas
no.
are called potato balls.
What? Oh no! You have to teach them. You got to
I
teach
know.
them.
Totally.
Oh my God.
But they know though it's our Cuban run family. Like it's a family. A
No,
Cuban
but they're
family
probably
business.
trying to open it to
But
gringos.
they're trying to
Yeah.
open it to everyone else. But there's a Porto's right by me here in
They know their
Burbank.
audience.
Every time I pass by, una cola around, but they do Cuban food and they do pastelitos and all that, but they also have like like cakes, like really good cakes, like typical generic, so I could see why it's so popular because there's nothing else like that. But I'm always telling my LA friends, like, you need to go to Miami and have some legit pastelitos because Porto's is machine made.
Right.
From
A
what
lot
I
of places-
heard.
Even in Miami too. A lot of stuff that you're
Well-
making so many of them, they're kind
Well,
of
wait. How much is a colada in Portos?
I don't know. My husband would be. That's another thing I had to sadly give up. Don't kill me.
Oh, no.
The struggle. Yeah, because the
the
coffee made you
struggle.
crazy. The
Oh,
coffee made you
girl.
crazy.
The coffee was really bad for my guts.
Yeah. I feel like
But-
I
Yeah,
feel like
that
I should
sucks.
stop drinking coffee too. I'm not at the point where I'm like,
I'm gonna sacrifice
super
those
LA with
years
my
on the
mom
back
right
end.
now.
I think. I'll take the coffee. I'll just cut those 5 years off the back end. That's fine.
yeah, just
you know?
yeah, just make me die earlier.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask you. I wanted to get in and ask you a little bit about you know, when you have such kind of success that you have, and you go to LA and you're trying to make it. I think people on the outside look at it and be like, oh, she's like a big star already, and like everything is, she's got it all made. And I feel like people maybe don't know about the hustle, like the
my
daily
God.
hustle to make things happen. Because we've seen you in, like, I saw you in a commercial for NASCAR, which was great.
Yes.
She was as Abuela messing with like the NASCAR
That was
drivers.
hilarious.
And I just feel like you're one of these people that like someone's gonna say that you were an overnight success, and it was like an overnight success, 20 years in the making. You know, I really feel like that.
20, 40, who knows how long it's gonna
Man.
take to get. I try my best to enjoy the journey. You know, which is hard. I think anybody in entertainment, even for journalists, it's like you always want the next best thing, then reach the next big milestone or goal. But it's important to celebrate where you're at now, and even if you think it's small, because, you know, if the pandemic has taught us anything, is that life is short, and you have to be, because at the end of the day, I always try to think of my past self, like my 10-year-old self, my 15-year-old self, my early 20s self, who was in debt, working odd jobs, struggling, and
What odd
thinking-
jobs? What odd jobs did you work that were memorable?
I did a lot of retail, which obviously that's not
Okay.
odd, but that's part of my struggle, right? I worked
Sure,
a lot of
sure.
retail, and then I was the Nesquik Bunny mascot, brand ambassador
Yes.
for Nestle.
Nice.
I-
nice. You were in the suit.
I was in the suit.
Nice.
I worked a lot of Miami events and marathons and all that stuff in the suit. I was a pet sitter, dog walker for very rich Miami elites.
Yep. For the rich dog moms.
Got many stories. If you ever want to have another episode, I have many weird stories of these people. And what
Well,
else?
Give us one weird story, because clearly one stuck in your head. Give us a weird story about being a dog walker for a rich mom.
For
in Miami.
Miami's rich people, yes.
It was usually cat dads, believe it or not, cat
Perfect.
dads
Beautiful. I
Ooh.
feel
That's-
it.
were
This is terrifying. I don't even know if I want her to tell us these stories, Carlos. Who
That's
are
'cause
cat
you
a
had
lot
dads?
of these
That's 'cause
men
you had
had
a
like
cat.
penthouses in Brickell, and they were like international travelers. And so this one dude was in Sweden when I had to pet sit his 3 large, very sweet male cats. And you know, cats are hit or miss. They're either very lovable and, you know, very, you know, cariñosos, and then other times you don't know even where they are. You need to find them to make sure they're alive. So his cats were kind of shy, but the rule was with his cats that I had to be there for an hour every day.
Okay.
And so he specifically played CNN for his cats, like CNN, the news. I don't freaking remember what I think it was
So
CNN.
funny.
He was at CNN playing for the cats, and then he had like this laptop on the coffee table in front of the couch where I had to usually be with the camera on.
Oh,
And there was
that's so weird.
A sticky
That's
note
creepy.
saying, "Do not turn off the camera or the computer." So then one day, I'm opening the door, and I hear a guy talking, but I'm assuming it's the TV. And I enter, and he's like, "Oh, you're here."
Oh my God, he's been
like-
he's been live Skyping with his cats.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Wow.
He was Skyping with his cats from Sweden. And then I was like awkwardly forced to talk to him and his Swedish girlfriend who was making fun of him for Skyping with his
with
cats.
his cats. At least he
Yeah, a
gets
lot
it.
of
He
cat dads would spy on me. I would get spied on a lot by cat dads.
Oh, that is so
That is
weird.
creepy, and I am disturbed.
That kind of tracks, I think. I think that tracks though.
Yeah, it does. Why don't you
Creepy-
just take your cats to Sweden? Hello.
Just
I
take
don't
your-
know. It's weird. And cats are pretty self-sufficient. Like they can
Yeah.
survive a zombie apocalypse.
Totally.
Yeah, if you left a pile of food for a cat, the cat would like, oh, I better just eat a little bit of food because there's
Yeah.
only this pile. Whereas the dog would be like, how quickly can I get to the bottom of this pile?
Yeah, and the dogs need to be walked and taken out and the whole thing. But I actually had it worse with cat people.
Right.
Well, the cat people are weird.
Yeah,
I will
they
say
really are.
that, like, and a man who's super into cats, I think that's kind of weird.
But there is one with a dog that I have to tell the story.
Tell me.
His name was Enzo, and he's a beefed up, roided Weimaraner. Gorgeous dog. It was in Coral Gables.
Uh-huh.
And the couple is actually a famous couple. Like the guy is a fetal surgeon, like a famous fetal surgeon
Oh,
from
really?
University of Miami, and the wife is a gynecologist.
Oh, wow.
And apparently the dog is military trained,
Oh,
but he's also sexist. So the dog did not care about me and I'm 5'1", freaking 100 pounds, with this muscle dog. And one time I lost him in the golf course.
Oh, man. They love to run.
Second time, this dog hates mailmen and anybody who delivers things. And I was approaching his house, and there's a delivery guy, a UPS guy, standing at his truck, and he looks at me, and I'm holding this massive dog, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, do not get out of your truck. I'm going to keep walking, because I was almost at his house. The UPS guy did not listen to me.
Oh, man.
Next thing I know, it's like my life flashed before my eyes. I felt like I entered a cartoon sequence. Enzo takes off. I end up holding on to him from the leash. He drags me
Oh,
all
no.
the way, like 2 houses down, drags
No.
me, and I'm like, ah!
Oh, my God.
And I don't let go because, again, this dog has gone lost before. Next thing I know, I get up, and the freaking guy is hiding behind his truck like a little chicken shit, hiding from Enzo. Like,
And you're like, I told you, don't get out of the truck.
I lost it. I was bleeding. My knees were all scraped.
wow.
And I started cursing at him.
Oh, my God.
All kinds of barbaridades. So
Wow, so she went through the ringer to be
Yeah.
the famous abuela, man. To get
And I
to
know,
get to
but
abuela,
again, like,
she
I
had to
know
walk
it's-
a lot of Enzos.
yeah, and like the last job I had was at Univision. I was a quality control editor for telenovelas,
Nice.
oh,
telenovela promos.
Oh, quality. So what we're seeing is the quality version. We're not seeing
Yeah,
what
I
end
mean,
up on the
All that
cutting room
really
floor.
means is that you're basically making sure the promos are in good shape before they go to air. And like I had to kind of add the esta noche, mañana, en solo minutos.
Oh, you were the Mr. Big Voice. You were the Mrs. Big
I
Voice.
didn't do the voices.
Oh, I thought that would be so funny.
I
That'd be
worked
amazing.
with the VO talent, and then I would enter the graphics to do all the different variations of the promo, the 30-second, the 15-second.
You have a great voice for that, though. Like, obviously, you're a voiceover actress. You have a great voice for that. Tell me about that a little bit, because that thing where people are maybe hearing your voice in different ways, like in back of voiceover cartoons, and they don't know it's Jenny Lowe. So, like, which ones
Sometimes
are you?
it's obvious because a lot of shows have taken a liking to my abuela voice.
And
Oh
you're
my
like, more
goodness.
abuela.
I sound but not all of them, thank goodness. So I love being able to show my range beyond the abuela voice because I don't want people to think that's all I can do. But my first voice acting gig was with Cartoon Network's Victor and Valentino.
Okay.
It's essentially a Mexican American animated series. It's all in English, but there's Spanish in there. And my character Lupe, she's not. If you look up her character, she's not specifically known to be a Cuban character, but the creator is Diego Molano, and he's Cuban from Miami, and he
Oh,
created
wow.
the show.
So he appreciated that
He's
voice.
mega
So
hella
he was like,
buenazo,
be the cubanaza that you
Yeah, so he's
that
like,
you have inside.
He's like, I want you to sound like Tony Montana. Now she's young, she's a 14-year-old kid, but they let me keep my deep voice because animation's animation. Like sometimes
Yeah, do what you want.
you can, they'll go with weird directions like that. So some people will say she still sounds like Abuela because obviously it's my deep voice and it's a Cuban accent, but I don't age the voice, right? But that one's like very Cubanasa. And then I've gotten to voice other characters on the show. as well. And then I got Jellystone, which is Hanna-Barbera. Basically, all the characters that you grew up with back in the day: Top Cat, Hardy Har Har, and Lippy Lion, Yogi Bear.
Oh,
All these
sweet.
characters in one universe, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
on HBO Max.
Amazing. Oh, HBO Max. Okay, we're gonna
Yeah,
we're
and
gonna
so
we're
I
gonna look for it
voiced-
there.
Yeah, and it's the first 2 seasons are already there, so you can check it all out.
What's the name of the show?
Jellystone.
Jellystone. Okay, right on. We're gonna check you out there.
So I voice a variety of characters. I voice Choo Choo, Bobby Louie, Pixie, and Hardy Har Har. And Hardy Har Har is the one that sounds like Abuela. Like it's entirely
Wait,
Abuela.
do the Hardy Har Har. Do it. Just kidding.
Well, that's actually got to be a little bit more difficult, right? Because as Abuela, you get to put on the clothes, and you're like, that helps get into character. But when you're voice acting, it's like you are right now, basically. You're in a studio, right?
No, I
No,
guess
you gotta
it's
follow
because
the
it's in
script.
studio, it's easier. I think the most challenging, so I guess I could say this because it was on our podcast, but my co-host Joanna Hausman, she's head writing on a Venezuelan American animated series for Disney. It's not out yet. But Joanna Hausman, even though she's Venezuelan, her grandma is Cuban.
Okay.
So she wanted the grandma character in the show to be Cuban, and so she had me audition, and I booked it. So this is
Nice.
another character
Nice.
Based on Abuela.
based on
on
Abuela, but it's more based on Joanna's Cuban Abuela, right? Like
Right.
she's not anime, she doesn't look like my character, but the voice. Now the challenging part of that is because usually for animation, especially kids animation, you need to talk fast. The Abuela character in my sketches is very slow, like "Hola, mi niña, cómo está?" This time, it was like I was in the recording booth, and they're like, "Faster! You gotta go faster! You gotta go faster! You gotta go faster!"
Wow.
So it was learning to speed up.
This character that you
This
made
character.
purposely slow.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. But like you can, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with like just writing one character
No,
until
there's
you make
plenty
it.
of people.
And then,
No,
like,
I was
great,
gonna ask.
You know?
Yeah, like what would it take? Like what level of what project level would you have to be at for you to be like, okay, I'm not gonna do a will anymore? Because
No,
I feel like
would
it.
always do it.
Yeah.
I would always do it because I know how happy it makes people. It's people just like the voice. Like it's usually a lot of these white execs and casting directors are like, yeah, diversity, and they just give it. They're like, screw it, fine. Because that's what happened with Jellystone. I was only cast initially as Bobby Louie. Bobby Louie, as people call Baba Louie. She was the Mexican donkey in the universe, and a lot of them were male characters. So I'm voicing a lot of characters that used to be male in the original episodes. And I remember saying that Bobby Louie had to be Latina. And I did a take with an accent, I did a take without an accent, and they chose my actual voice. She just sounds a little more businesslike. She talks like this, and very, very robotic. And that's her voice. And so I thought, okay, this is the only character I'm gonna do. But what I've learned over time is that once you're cast on a show, they're gonna ask you to voice a million other people. So some days I'll show up and they're like, okay, we're gonna give you Hardy Har Har. What do you got?
Oh.
And so I'm there
okay.
like, and then I just do all these voices that just come out of me. And then they're like, oh yeah, we'll make her this Latina. Because Hardy Har Har is like, they made her a little viejita.
Right.
You know?
So
And
yeah,
I
it's
was like-
easier. Do they show you a picture? This is the character you're gonna do. Oh, so that helps wrap your brain around it. You must have practiced improv a lot coming up to be able to be good at something like that, right?
Yeah, I did a lot of improv since high school, and then when I came out here, I did Groundlings and some UCB. A lot of the videos, all my videos are written. They're we write a full script, but there's always room for improv, not just with my own stuff, but with the other actors, especially Laura Di Lorenzo, who's Chonga Girl.
Okay.
And she's one of my favorite comedy partners. She plays Mirta, Abuela's frenemy, and
Yes,
especially
I
when
love
I act
Abuela's
with
front of
her.
me.
There's a lot of improv with her, which is so much fun because I look up
I
to.
love when they were trying to out COVID each other.
Do
you remember that one?
Why? What? We're gonna do one soon of Abuela's one-upping at a funeral.
Perfect.
We've been wanting to do that for a while, and yeah, no, I love working with her. I love working with all these really talented comedic character actors, it's such a blast. Because Laura's very similar to me. She's all about the details and really embodying a character. So when we're in these costumes, it's hard not to improvise.
Right. Oh my God. I can't. I have to ask you, Rita Moreno. Like you were in Abuela, in your Abuela gear, and you got to meet and do like a little. Was it a sketch with Rita Moreno? That's gonna be
Me
like.
and Laura did a full sketch with Rita Moreno, who was incredible. I think anytime you work with a celebrity, there's always this, like, their reps make them seem like divas in a way. They're like, okay, Rita only has 20 minutes.
Yes.
20 minutes, and that's it.
Right familiar.
And when Rita came in, she's like, no, we'll do it again.
That is so
Like,
great.
she was a really good sport about it. She was amazing. I didn't feel any bad vibe, like, because claro, not everyone in Hollywood is. She's a freaking EGOT.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
She doesn't have an ego. And I've met internet TikTok famous kids, and I'm like, calm down.
They're like my
Cálmate.
TikTok paid for my Lambo.
Cálmate.
Meanwhile,
yeah, and they did-
I'm hanging out with Rita Moreno, and
That's
you can
right.
have your little TikTok fans.
Did she get Abuela? Did she get like what you were doing?
you were coming from?
Did she appreciate the whole?
It's definitely because I feel like it's a part of her generation, like Lucille Ball, Carol Burnett, all these women who, and again, Vicki Lawrence, like that was a big part of comedy back then. And even in the 90s that I feel is really missing today, other than like what Tyler Perry is doing. But back then it was like Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence,
Yes.
especially black comedians. Like that was the Wayans brothers. There's
Yep.
a lot of heavy like character acting, and I'm not seeing as much of that anymore. And in fact, my pilot script, which is called Abuela's Family, it's a hybrid of Mama's Family and Que Pasa USA.
Oh my God.
Oh,
That's
please
And I-
amazing.
make that.
Oh my
Please
God,
make
please
that.
make that show for sure.
I would
watch
to.
that.
I think it's written. It's
I would totally watch that.
know.
Oh my God. And you have to have Tia Gloria. She's the best. And you have to have her have the scrub daughter who everybody is Tia Gloria is pretending like she's super successful when she's actually just a scrub. It's the best part of that whole
It's so cool. Oh my
extended
God,
universe.
catching her in all these lies with her
Oh my God, it's so
ex-hostess
great.
who's always traveling in Tahiti, and like he's actually
Like, yeah,
they're
she's
separated.
just sitting at home, like doing nothing.
People love the drama, and like, yeah, we're always trying to think, like, right now I'm trying to develop an animated series about these characters, and a sketch show.
Right.
But that's something that I want to come. Obviously, the pandemic made things really difficult in terms of pitching shows, and now I'm like, I still think there's something really special here. When you work alone, a lot of times you don't know what impact you're making. Like, it's just
Sure.
me and a couple friends and my husband, and I'm in my computer. I don't work for anybody. Obviously, in terms of my stuff, right? Claro, like voice acting and Disney is separate. But I don't go to work. It's not like when I used to work at BuzzFeed or Me Too, where I was creating content specifically for another network. And so I'm my own boss in many ways, and sometimes it gets lonely.
Well, I wonder, how do you measure success when you're doing it all by yourself for your own platforms? Like, how do you measure success? Is it like, okay, this is successful if it gets a certain amount of views, or it's successful if it pays for itself? It's successful if like, what is the measure?
The measure for me is when you work at a company like BuzzFeed, you're kind of brainwashed to think that your worth is tied to virality, how viral your videos go, how many numbers. But the honest truth is, you talk to any content creator, everyone's struggling right now regarding the algorithm on any platform. It's very unfair to creators and entrepreneurs and business owners because it's unpredictable. And there's even I know people that work at these companies, and they're like, shrug. So I'm here like, great, I'm screwed. So I can no longer go by views and shares, because half the time, more than half of my audience doesn't even see when I post something because of the algorithm. So what I use to measure how well my content is doing is people's comments, people's emails to me, meeting people in person. So I just did a
feedback.
talk in Miami. Yeah, like recently, I'll give you a recent example. I was at Americas, which was a tech convention in Miami Beach, and I spoke on behalf of Miami-Dade College, because I went to Miami-Dade first, and then I went to UM. So they announced me and everything, but I didn't really promote it much. And I get there, and there were so many people there who came specifically to this event. It wasn't for cryptocurrency. It was
That was
to
for la
see-
abuela.
That's down the hall. Crypto.
Yeah,
down the hall.
yeah. And what's always impactful is like, for instance, it was a woman around my age, millennial, with her 2 young kids, like ages 7 and 9, and then her mom, a true abuela, all fans. Like
Awesome.
this viejita came to a Miami tech event to see me talk, and then her little kids, she's like, you're the first celebrity my kids are ever meeting in person. And they were
Aw.
just like, they were like so shy and like, and
That's
I
how I feel
forget,
too. That's how I feel about Jenny too.
we didn't grow up with YouTube celebrities as kids. For
Right.
us, celebrities were whoever we saw on TV and film.
Totally.
Right.
But I'm in my head, it's almost like hard to grasp that kids view YouTubers and TikTokers as celebrities too, because they're consuming these people through this medium that I guess our generation, myself included, and I hate to say it because I rely on these platforms, but sometimes I'm like, do I take it seriously? Or I feel like people won't take me seriously until I'm really doing, television, because digital content is still considered second tier.
There's an actress that was doing videos on BuzzFeed that now has a TV show called Abbott Elementary. I can't remember what her name
my
was.
friend Quinta Brunson.
Girl, I remember her from BuzzFeed, and I remember her being really funny on BuzzFeed. And then I remember seeing, oh, Jesus Christ, this is a great show. And so I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, well, this is where she was trying to go with that. Like that.
Same with
that's,
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess everything is about finding your niche too, right? Like I keep when I watch some of your stuff, I feel like there is like a genesis at like Que Pasa USA, and like a generation of people that we grew up, with our family, or we grew up. And I remember I can't think of her name, Calderon, who does
Gloria Calderon.
Gloria Calderon, who's part of One Day at a Time, the new One Day at a Time, which they're a Cuban family. And I was like, this is totally Que Pasa USA vibes. And she's not admitted it. She said, yeah, we drew inspiration from that. And I wonder if, like, I don't know, do you remember that show? Do you remember, was that like source
Do
material?
I remember that show? I have the DVD set.
Obvio.
Yes.
Excuse me.
The answer is
I
yes.
love that show. To me, it's the holy grail. I talked to the Oh, it's because of you, Carlos. I talked to Luis Santeiro because of you.
Oh, did you? Oh, he's a
You
wonderful
hooked
man. I'm
that
glad you talked to
conversation
him.
up for me some years back, and I'm super appreciative. It was a very important yet also kind of sad conversation, and mainly because it was eye-opening, because Luis was like, the only reason why I was able to get away with such an authentic Cuban American show is because it was a PBS educational series.
It was
I
free.
didn't have these like Hollywood clueless white guys breathing down my neck. Because what happened was, after the success of Que Pasa USA, he said he tried to pitch other Latino shows, and they kept getting turned down.
Yes. As a matter of
And he
fact,
was-
Norman Lear had been watching Que Pasa USA when he created One Day at a Time. Like, he was like, that was
Wow.
part
That
source
was his
material.
template.
So it's like,
Wow.
you know what I mean? So like, there's a little bit of like that appropriation, like, and Luis has said it to me. He's like, I know that he saw the show. I know him. I know that he saw the show. I know he was in a way inspired by it. And it's nice to see it at least be of the more authentic version of where it came from. Kind of a wow moment, right?
Well, he was also extremely ahead of his time because, so there's a thing going on in Hollywood right now regarding Latino stories where Latinos are trying to pitch shows or working on shows that have been greenlit and making them as authentic as possible. But once again, the white execs at the top who are clueless about our culture are so scared of Latinos looking bad that they try to remove every flaw to the point that it's unrealistic and no longer relatable, no longer authentic, no longer funny. Characters have to be flawed
Yeah.
in order to educate. So
Right.
Luis Santeiro, there were so many lessons on sexism, racism, homophobia, double standards with Carmencita and her brother. There
Yep.
was like one specific episode where Pepe was like typical Latino dad who wanted his son to lose his virginity, but cafecita, God forbid.
Right.
And you learn, you are, in a way, it's like through comedy you can still educate people on like, this is messed up, right? But
Yep.
like, you have to let the characters be flawed. Mama's Family, Archie Bunker is a big example. Like, he was
He was a
racist.
huge bigot, but that's kind of how they taught the lessons.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And I feel like we're losing that, especially with Latino content, because
Do you feel like it's like they're trying to be too pan-Latin, like they're not letting you be specific? Do you feel
that
like
too, they're afraid that we're gonna lose the audience. It's a lot of like issues with money, like, oh, no one's gonna relate if it's too Latino. I've been told that before by some executives, like my stuff that I'm trying to pitch is too Latino. I know other people who are in the process of working on some Latino shows or writing on Latino shows, and the wall they keep hitting is that the execs are basically try to water down our stories. Like, if they want to make the dad like a typical machista guy, it's like, oh no. Like, you can't have any slight homophobia, any slight like colorism. And that's what I bring in my sketches. Even Abuela is flawed, because my abuela in real life, who I love to death, may she rest in peace, had some pretty caquita ideals, and I would fight her about them all the time. And it's not that I'm saying abuelas are evil, but I'm like, dude, come on. Like, the reality is, you know, we have all these issues that could also be made fun of. Like Tia Gloria is again, prime example. This like one-upmanship, this jealousy, this envidia, this like classism. There's a lot of classism in Miami. And as, again, the poor kid in a private school, I dealt with that a lot, of like these girls with their Louis Vuittons talking crap about girls like me who, first of all, I never even tried to have a fake Louis or anything, but I would hear them talking poorly about other girls and their fake Louis and you know, what kind of car they drive. And it was about how much money you had. And so I picked up on a lot of that, and I like to make fun of it.
Yeah.
I'd watch that show.
Yeah, man.
I
You know
watched that
what?
show.
Here's to hoping that Abuela Que Pasa USA inspired show gets made, because
Dude, I will
think
light a
you
candle.
You are 5 minutes from being too big for
Dude,
being on the
it's like,
podcast like
yeah,
this.
Oh
it's the
my
tipping.
God.
It's the tipping. We got her right
I know,
before.
and that'll
we
be
got
a
her
good
right
thing.
before she hired that person that was like,
I
"Ugh,
hope
she's
so.
so busy.
I can't wait for the day where she won't return my messages, because that means
No,
she will have made it.
Carlos.
She will have made it. I'll be like, I know her.
But
Well, listen,
people
before-
are hungry for it, man. Like,
Yeah,
again, like
100%.
one of the number one comments I get is like, oh my God, can you bring back Que Pasa USA? Like, I didn't even create the show, but I guess they feel like that's what's so important
avoid.
about digital
Yeah.
creators, is that we're creating the real authentic stuff because no one's telling us what to do.
Right, right.
But then when we try to sell it to TV, that's where the struggle begins.
Right.
Well, listen, before we let you go, because we're going to let you go because you've been so gracious with your time, we're going to ask you to play Food, Kiss, Marry, Kill. Everybody,
Because remember, even though we talked about TV and, and the internet all day, this is a food podcast.
This is a
Yes,
food
you're
podcast.
right.
So harkening back, we're going to ask you to play Kiss, Marry, Kill with 3 food items. And let's say impossible meat pastelitos. Those chickpea croquetas that you liked. And I know that you can't have cafecito, but I'm going to throw cafecito in there.
You can honestly use the non-vegan stuff.
All right. So what
Well,
do
like
you
in a
think?
perfect world where you didn't
pastelito?
have to, where you didn't
Yes.
have,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Where
yeah.
your
like
guts,
I was
where your
plating-
guts were super resilient.
where you didn't have the tum-tum problems.
So what is it? The
Pastelito, croqueta, and a cafecito. Kiss, Marry, Kill.
I would
Oof.
kiss the cafecito,
Okay.
marry the pastelito, and I hate to say it, but kill the croqueta.
Yes. Yes, because you know what? Mike Beltran had a good idea about this too, because the pastelito can be both savory and sweet. It can have
Yes.
meat inside, it can have guayaba inside, and I hope
Yeah.
somebody makes an impossible pastelito
Just
so that
for you.
just for you. You deserve it.
Well, they do in vegan Cuban cuisine.
Bueno, vamos para allá.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's-
it's in
should
Kendall.
try it, though. I would be so interested to see what you think if you review the place.
I am 100% gonna check it out after this conversation.
Awesome, yeah. Oh, and
Yeah.
have really good batido de mamey vegan.
Oh, I like that. I
And
like
that's
that.
something I
have
hadn't
that.
had in a long time, and I was so freaking happy. Anyway, what's the next
Awesome.
one?
Awesome. Well, you done it, girl. Thank you so much for making the time, Jenny. Te mandamos un abrazo
Yeah, we
fuerte
love you.
from the
We
305.
love you, and we want the best for you. Only good things.
Thank
where
you
do-
so much.
Where do the people find you? Give us the last shameless plug. Where do you want people to go find you?
The easiest thing is to just type Jenny Lorenzo on any social platform that you prefer,
You'll
because I
find
put
her.
my videos everywhere.
Perfect. Go find her videos, people. Jenny, deuces.
Thank you,
queremos.
man. Bye, guys.
Bye. She's
She's
like
the best
favorite
person
people.
ever. I love
She's
her.
the best person ever. And she's
Dude.
Kendall adjacent, so I know that you like her even
she's
more
Kendall.
because of
She's
it.
from Westchester, you know. So,
Huechete.
so you know, like whenever you're feeling sad and lonely, you can go down a Jenny Lorenzo rabbit hole and just like laugh for hours. Like
on
that's
any
what
platform.
I do.
On
Any platform.
There's some Instagram. That's where I saw the bell thing, and YouTube obviously is all kinds of stuff that she has there. So she's the best.
Yeah, she's the best. We're
Amy?
lucky to have her. We're lucky to
are.
have Miami's lucky to claim her.
Amy, that feels like a show.
Feels like a show. Go take a little coronavirus repose.
A Corona nap. We're taking
Take a-
Corona
yeah.
naps.
Go take a little nap.
And we're gonna be back next week, hopefully healed from this thing, or at least no longer contagious.
Yeah.
All right, deuces.
Bye.